Hello everyone, we have made it to the final part in this catch-up series, May. We're still currently in May, so I may end up having another sort of wrap-up kind of video, some other video after this where I go through some other things that I've been watching and reading within the past couple of days since filming, and then also the rest of the month. For now, what have I been up to this month? The very first thing that I wrote is OMG still 1930s film. Specifically, Paramount pre-code movies that are currently on the Criterion channel. They're going off at the end of the month. There's like a couple I had already seen or own already, so those aren't priority, but I've actually already gone through the whole thing. Yeah, but still a lot of 1930s films. I guess I'll look on the back here and see what to point out. Claudette Colbert and Mary Astor are a couple people. I already mentioned them in the previous video, so again, they just came up in a couple movies that I was watching. For a director, I have Ernst Lubitsch, because he directed a lot of the pre-code films at Paramount that are on the Criterion channel. And also, like, through watching his works, there's a number of actors that he just frequently worked with. I only have Miriam Hopkins written down, but there were also 3 or 4 movies that Maurice Chevalier was in, and then also another guy, but I don't know his name. He is kind of like a 1930s Harvey Keitel looking guy. And he's got a mustache that like goes like that. It like kind of curls up more instead of like the pencil like angle mustaches. You know what I mean? I've realized I have a thing for 1930s mustaches. Not his. I don't like the curl. I like the angled ones. Anyway, I don't know his name, but he's in a number of Ernst Lubitsch films. I have Broken Lullaby from 1932. Which I have the indicator release of. I got that during the sale back in March. I don't remember if it was actually on sale though. I think it was just something that I included in my order because I wanted it. But that I have the indicator release of. So good. Oh my gosh. Like 4.5 out of 5 stars. And although there's a special feature on it that I kind of wish I didn't watch, because it gave me information about a movie that I want to see, and I wish I had already seen it, because now I know that it is, in a way, another adaptation / remake of Broken Lullaby. I like kind of want to name it. I'm gonna name it. How am I phrasing this? So if you don't know anything about Broken Lullaby, except for maybe like the cast or the title, but if you don't know anything about the premise, I suggest watching a movie that I'm going to name. But if you have seen Broken Lullaby, then I don't want to tell you necessarily. I don't know. It's up to you, I guess, if you want to listen or not. But I do think that if you don't know anything about Broken Lullaby, you should watch France. Frantz, like the name, from, like, what is it, 2015 or 2016? It's a French-German black and white film from Francois Ozon. I did not realize that this film was what I just said, like another adaptation / remake. And I've been interested in this film since it came out, and I wish I would have already seen it. Because then, now I'm gonna go into that film like knowing that it's mostly Broken Lullaby, but then also kind of, I guess, takes another, it adds more to this in the second half. Yeah, I wish I didn't know that now. So I guess I should have said because I wish I didn't know. If you've seen Broken Lullaby, you shouldn't have listened. And then Love Me Tonight from 1932 is another movie that I have written down, but I don't remember specifically which one that is, because there are too many. There are too many 30s films. That one is definitely one with Maurice Chevalier and that other guy whose name I can't think of. And then for another movie, I have The Man Who Came... What? Yeah, The Man Who Came to Dinner from 1942. This is a movie that I watched starring Bette Davis, who I don't have marked for May, but I'm sure maybe there were a few movies of hers that I watched in the beginning of the month. But she was more so someone that I was watching things from in April. In any case, this is one of the movies that she was in, and it was a time. It's about this guy who, this awful, he's not an author. He like has this radio show, and he's just the worst. He's so conceited and just does not care about other people much. You know, he's on that high horse, and he falls and slips on some steps when he's visiting some people, and I don't really know why he's coming to dinner for them. I think maybe it's like the dad's significant in the area or something like that. In any case, he's stuck at their house now for at least a handful of days, and he becomes kind of like entangled with what is happening in the family. Like the parents have kids, and then he becomes a mentor in a way, and tries to give them advice on things that are happening in their life. Then Betty Davis plays his assistant, and she starts to date this newspaper man, and he becomes really jealous of that, and so he tries to, the main premise is that he tries to break them up, essentially. He tries to sabotage their relationship. Anne Sheridan actually is another actress who I watched at least a few movies from over the past few months. She plays a character, oh my god, me trying to put all this, there's just too many characters to go through, but she ends up, the main character guy ends up bringing her to kind of throw a wrench in the relationship between Betty Davis and the newspaper man, because she can be like a distraction and kind of maybe try to be with him instead of Betty Davis's character. Did that make sense? It's also way worse when you can't think of anyone's characters' names and only like a few of the cast members. Like, I can't think of the guy who plays the main character. So I guess, yeah, those are the movie. Oh, wait, no, one more movie. Yeah, this is just a random movie. I watched Hotel Paradiso from 1966. I was gonna watch this one day, and then I like was not feeling it, and I'm so glad I waited because I put it on like the next day, and it just worked. It worked so well. It was so funny. It's like a farce where it's an adaptation of a play, and you can definitely tell with the way that the characters are like interconnected and like just come in and out of the locations. Alec Guinness's character really has like a crush on his neighbor, and his neighbor, the lady's really mad at her husband, and so they like pretend to have an affair, and things just go awry from there. I highly recommend it. I don't know where it's available. I recorded it on TCM. You definitely have to be in the right mood for it. I don't think the trailer does it justice, which is probably good. That's probably one of the reasons why I suddenly wasn't having like higher expectations for it. Like, the premise sounded interesting, but then when I was figuring out what to watch the night previously, I watched the trailer watched trailers for a few movies, and I was like, oh no, why does that not seem like it's going to be very good? But then I was pleasantly surprised. Just the exaggeratedness of the characters, and yeah, the way that they all connect and interact was really funny. Some other things that happened in May, I saw Clue, a play performance, which was really interesting. Of course, I've seen the movie before, and we ended up watching the movie when we got back. It was my mom and one of my mom's friends and I who went to the play, and then we came back to our house and had dinner and watched Clue. And my mom's friend had never seen Clue before, but my mom had like years and years ago, so it was a nice refresher. And I definitely prefer the movie over the play, but they did a really good job. It was just a local production. They did a really good job with like matching the characters and the actors and such. Mostly what I was really curious about in how the production would be done is because, thinking of the movie, they are in and out of rooms. They're running all over the place at certain scenes, and it's just like, how are they going to do that on stage where there are so many rooms? Like, how are you going to split that up or have them be in different rooms? Unless maybe actually another way that they could maybe have done it, if it was like a bigger stage and a different setup, maybe having like a background that like moved, and that's how you kind of change the location really quickly. I don't know. But in any case, what ended up happening is that the play was performed in like the Black Box Theater, and they had, I don't actually know what it was. I really wish I took pictures of the set before and after the performance, because they had something laid on the floor that was like a board game. And I was trying to figure out the whole play. I was like, what are these weird lines and squares? Like, I don't know why it didn't connect. And it wasn't until the play ended that I realized that those were like the squares where like the players go on the board, you know? Because obviously like the rooms were more like laid out and you could see them more, and that's what took up a majority of the space. So, you know, like on a Clue board game, there's various squares. Well, this, on the board game of the floor for the play, it was just one like column or row. Do you get what I'm saying? Instead of there being areas where it was like a whole grid and maybe you could, I don't know if you can go diagonally, but there was no possible way you could go diagonally because it was just one like aisle or row, whatever. So that was interesting. So they had all the rooms set up on the floor. And the guy who played the butler, he was really good. I mean, that's definitely the role that has to be like mastered. You know what I mean? And they did all the like different endings in the same way that the movie does. And yeah, the butler is the person who like stood out the most to me. They made the Colonel like way dumber in the play. Professor Plum was like way more flirty. Like him and Mrs. Scarlet were really flirting a lot. And I feel like those are the bigger like character changes in a way. Mrs. Peacock was a little bit more like Southern Belle racist. And yeah, that's those are the major character changes that I can think of. Just to give you information, because I had no idea that this was even a play. It's just like a local theater that my mom's friend and my mom like really like to go to, and I've gone a handful of times with them. I haven't gone to everything, but I've been tagging along more and more now. So yeah, I didn't know it was a play until the theater was performing it. I've been physically reading more, which we'll get to. I finally accepted a mubi subscription because in May, after the 30 days was up, that was it. Sorry, I keep knocking my dresser a little bit with my foot and I can see like my camera shake a little bit, so I'm sorry if that keeps happening. I'll like turn a little bit more. Yeah, so I now have a full mubi subscription. After the additional 30 days were up, I went to cancel my subscription because again, I just felt like it wasn't the right time. I was gonna wait for a better time in terms of money, in terms of I didn't want my Mubi and Criterion subscription to go through around the same month. I didn't want that. But then they're like, wait, we don't want to lose you. So here is a discount. So now I have a $7.79 a month discount. Well, like that's what I'm paying a month for Mubi for a year. That's what it will be. If I cancel the subscription at any time though, it will not be, I won't get that price again, which is why I was like, okay, I will accept. It's a monthly fee? Cool. Like that a lot more than one time for the rest of the year. And it's even cheaper than their yearly price, which is more than $100. I think it's like 100, I could be a little off on this. I think it's like 103, 104, something like that. If you were to do the one-time purchase for a year on Mubi, I think it is closer to like 140, 150 if you do it on a monthly basis for an entire year. And I'm only going to pay $93 for a year. So then I can worry about it in a year if I want to continue to have Mubi and whatnot. So I will have Mubi for a year. And well, actually, what I do usually with like Criterion, what I do with subscription services is I try to watch like one thing per dollar of my subscription fee. So here's to watching 93 things on Mubi in the next year. Hopefully I can do even more than that, because then I can kind of make up for the time that I had the free trial and did not do anything except watch Decision to Leave. Two more things before I get to books. I did order some things from the Kino sale. I don't remember what the sale was specifically. They are constantly having sales, but I ordered some things. And lately I've been working on my running form. This is something I probably should have done like a long time ago, because I've been running for since like 2018. So it's been like 5 years, and I'm just now looking into like what proper better running form is. And already I can like feel it in my thighs. Oh my goodness. I need to stretch more. I know that as well, but I've been working on it. You want to make sure your knees are getting up more. You want your feet to be doing more of like a cycle, you know, when you're like on a bicycle, a cycle movement. You don't want your feet to go like behind your legs all that much. Arms like this, you know, no crossing. You don't want to be crossing. You don't want your body to be like turning all that much. You want to be straight, chest out, shoulders back, standing straight. Those are some tips that I have learned just from watching random YouTube videos. I've been working on like my pace a little bit more. Ooh, saw a snake a couple days ago. If you saw my Instagram story, it was dead. I didn't know that at the time, but I learned that it was dead later, and it was really disgusting looking. I did my whole route and it's still there. I wonder if it's even alive. Look, I get so curious, but it's also disgusting, and I don't know what kind of snake it is. I'm trying not to look suspicious, but like, it looks even grosser from this angle. Can you see it? Me trying not to show houses. Oh my god, disgusting. I get disgusted, but intrigued and scared all at the same time when I see a snake on my runs. Great. And I stood around too for a while. This is totally a tangent. I stood around for a while though, because the house that it was in front of, it was on the sidewalk. I know like a little boy lives there, and I was like, I really don't want him to like randomly come outside, and there's a snake there. And again, I didn't know that it was dead at the time, but I always get nervous, and especially because I pass a park. I'm like, I don't want kids to like, what if the snake's alive? I get worried basically. And the little boy's so cute. He calls me friend. We don't know each other's names, but he sees me sometimes when I'm on my run, and he goes, "Hi, friend." Whenever, it doesn't matter if it's an adult, if it's a kid, whenever someone says hi to me on my run, it like really makes my day. It's the small things sometimes. And that's it. So now it's time for books. 1, 2, 3, 4, technically, which are all right here. Wait, is that right? Eileen, Poor Things, A Room with a View, Fairyland. Yes, they're all right here. I'm not going to talk about these all too much, but I do think, I guess if there are more movies that I want to like mention, that I can just do that somewhere else. And then maybe I will make a like May wrap-up video for what I've read in May, because even though I'll mention things now, I don't want to go into too much detail. It's already been 23 minutes of me recording this. As well as I do think I will be talking about these more for other reasons. So let's start. Actually, we're going to go backwards, I think. Yeah. I actually have stupid, but I figured that I can finish this when I am like uploading things, and kind of waiting around for these videos to be like exporting and things like that. So I have 5 pages left of A Room with a View by Ian Forster. This was like basically my pick for May. Way at the beginning of the year, remember I said that I was going to focus on, or like I had a goal of reading at least 1 book a month and then watching the adaptation of that book, and they had to be things that I already owned. So I had made like certain lists and stuff like that, and that is also kind of what my whole like summer reading announcement thing has to do with, in a way, because I mentioned that like maybe I would announce it, or maybe I would tell viewers and subscribers about what I was reading beforehand, or like at the beginning of the month, and then maybe they can join along and be able to discuss it with me or something like that, or just give their thoughts, whatever the case may be. And so I did have certain picks from earlier months, this year that I didn't really get to and are still hopefully going to be coming up. I can fit them into the next months or so. But my pick for May was A Room with a View by Ian Forster, and this is definitely my favorite Forster so far. My third from him, I also have read Where Angels Fear to Tread and The Longest Journey, which I read last year, and was not very good. I did like Where Angels Fear to Tread, but it was definitely just like a snippet of what I could expect from his longer novels. Not that this is incredibly long. This one is only 242 pages, and I have 5 pages left. It's definitely my favorite. I think it just has some more things. Actually, it's hard. I'm comparing it in my head to Where Angels Fear to Tread. I do think that Where Angels Fear to Tread is just like a little bit more action-packed in a way. And this one is more focused on the characters and the character interaction. It still has a lot of the same sort of overlap with social commentary, which I absolutely love. And also he's like nature writing in a way. The way that he describes nature and natural scenes is really well done. I like that a lot. So that's sort of like my overview and highlights of A Room with a View. I am going to be taking the movie. I have the Criterion edition of the movie. I will be bringing that with me while I dog sit and watch that in the next handful of days. So there's A Room with a View. I am also in the middle, like right in the middle of Fairyland, except I don't have the dust jacket with me. Okay. Yeah, Fairyland. I'm just going to hold up the dust jacket by Alicia Abbott, A Memoir of My Father. And I'm not really reading this physically. I'm mostly listening to the audiobook. It's narrated by Alicia. That's why I had to think about how to pronounce her name, because it is like a mix of Alicia and Alyssa. So I didn't know if it was one or the other, or if it was like Alicia. It's Alicia. And this is about her father and her childhood, growing up with just a single father who was bisexual, and he pretty much exclusively dated men after his wife passed away. And this was kind of, it seems like to me, it's Alicia working through, I don't want to say like trauma, because I feel like trauma is a very overused word nowadays. Yes, there are traumatic experiences and a spectrum to what a traumatic event may be. You know, even if it's a 0.1 out of 10 on the traumatic scale, that's still something that is significant. But yeah, I feel like she's just working through her childhood and trying to understand her father more and seeing her father more from an adult perspective, as opposed to not having a full understanding of the world as a kid, and especially certain prejudices and discrimination for like towards gay people and towards kind of like how she grew up as well. Oh, sorry, the lamp's right behind me. Just with not too much money, and her father being in an artistic circle. This is also during the time of like Stonewall and then AIDS. So lots of mixed information and people's fears and prejudices coming out a lot. But also she was just trying to navigate her own childhood and adolescence and discovering who she is. Does that make sense? I'm only halfway through it, but again, it doesn't really have much of like a plot per se. And yeah, all of these have adaptations. Obviously, A Room with a View already has been adapted in the 80s. I think it's an 80s film. Fairyland premiered at Sundance, so it's not out yet, like officially, for a wide audience, but it is soon to come. And then Poor Things, oh my goodness gracious. Poor Things by Alistair Gray. Is this premiering at Venice, I think? I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this because I do want to do when the full trailer comes out, I think I'm going to do a full trailer reaction. I also am just like not in the Poor Things headspace right now, having talked about a bunch of different things. So I don't even know if I could accurately go through this book. I so where do I want to start with this? I saw the image. If you're familiar with the adaptation that is coming out soon, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, starring Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe, Rami Youssef, and those are the only people that I know off the top of my head. And that's also the cast that I knew before. But before I read this book, I did not know who they were playing. I mean, Emma Stone's character is obvious, but I didn't know who was playing who in terms of the guys. And I kind of assumed that, I made some assumptions, okay? And then I saw some things, and then there was an image that was released, and everyone was like, I'm sorry, look at that window behind her. Why is that window shaped like a penis? And I went, yes, great. Production design. Like, suddenly I was kind of having like trepidations about it when I was reading the book, and I was thinking, I actually think that Guillermo del Toro may have been like a better fit, or whoever he works with in terms of production design and costuming may be a better fit for an adaptation of Poor Things, because in my mind it was giving like mix of Crimson Peak and The Shape of Water, and I was like, yeah, that works really well. But again, I was also thinking of it more so in terms of like a stricter historical fiction kind of scenario. Whereas Yorgos Lanthimos has outdone his weirdness, it seems like, has surpassed the sterilization and sterile look of his films, in my opinion, of the ones that I've seen. I did recently get The Favorite. I haven't seen that one yet. And that one is also historical and has a bit more in terms of like costuming. So I'm expecting that one to be a little bit different, but still, I think cream and white and beiges are still very prominent in that. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, does that fit with Poor Things? Because this is giving color. This is very colorful. And again, that's kind of why I was thinking Guillermo del Toro in terms of the premise to a degree, and then like the setting and just having seen his films. But then I saw that picture and went, okay, you have my attention, Yorgos Lanthimos. Not that it ever went away. I'm just, again, I was kind of rethinking like, maybe there could be someone else better fit for a Poor Things adaptation. But now I don't think so. Now definitely he's a great choice. I'm sorry I ever doubted you. I say that like he's going to be watching. But then I did not watch the full teaser trailer. I like skimmed through it. I think I saw like 5 different kind of seconds throughout the teaser trailer, and then I was confused again. Then I even though I just said I'm sorry I had my doubts, I had doubts again, because while I think it works very well for things that are in this novel, I think it like wasn't what I wanted. And I'm having a hard time like coming to terms with that, even though I barely watched the teaser trailer. And again, I'm gonna wait until the full trailer comes out in order to like further talk about this, especially because I keep seeing people talk about it like very early Oscar predictions, those kind of videos, and then also just like Yorgos, I think, has become more of an auteur and director who has he's a prominent name, and he's kind of got a following in the same sense that other directors do, and also people like Emma Stone and Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo. So again, the casting is also there. Anyway, I keep seeing people talk about it and no one is mentioning the book, and if they do, they haven't read it and they don't know what they're talking about. And even though it took me forever to get to this book, again, this is like my first booktube book. That's kind of how I think of it, because it's the first book that I had never heard of before, that wasn't like a classic, and that wasn't like a new release that a few people had mentioned when I first started watching booktube videos. And I guess because I haven't really told you anything about what it's about, it is a sort of Frankenstein story where a man Should I tell you the, like, full thing? Oh, actually, it's a lot. Oh my god. I'm not gonna get into it now. I'm definitely gonna talk about it. I'm sorry. I keep looking at how long this is, and I'm like, why are you still talking? And then we have Eileen by Ottessa Moshfegh. Another book. This adaptation premiered at Sundance, so along with Fairyland. Eileen, I need to talk about Eileen also, just in another video probably. I guess, let's see, A Room with a View is probably going to be 4 out of 5 stars. Fairyland, I'm not sure yet. Poor Things, I gave 4 out of 5 stars. And Eileen, I gave 4 out of 5. It's very 4 out of 5 star kind of year so far, I feel like. Yeah, Eileen. Ugh. She's disgusting. I do not know. Like, I appreciate it, though. I am here for the way that Ottessa Moshfegh writes female main characters, especially being first person in their heads, understanding everything, and understanding specifically with Eileen the juxtaposition between the way that she looks and her. It's not even as some of it's juxtaposition, and some of it is just full on reasoning as to why she's doing certain things and presenting herself a certain way and what is going on in here. Okay. I have to say, the one thing about this, though, is that everyone keeps mentioning, like, even on the back, everyone, I don't know who everyone is, but I saw a handful of Letterboxd reviews mention Hitchcock, and there's even a sentence somewhere on the back here that mentions Hitchcock, and I'm just like, no, let's stop doing that, because I do not get thriller out of this, I will tell you that much. So I do, if there's one thing that you're going to take away from I'm trying to find the sentence. Oh, in a Hitchcockian twist, her affection for Rebecca ultimately pulls her into complicity in a crime that surpasses her wildest imaginings. That is way too much. That gives you expectations, and I do not consider this at all Hitchcockian. I barely consider this a thriller, so don't go into it that way if you plan on reading Eileen. I feel like that's the best scenario for you. Cleanse your mindset and think of it as a character study of Eileen and just this place that she's in her life, this point in her life where she is stuck at home, hates her life, hates herself, hates her father, hates everyone, pretty much, is disgusted with herself and makes herself disgusting. And it's kind of frustrating, but I appreciate it because she's a gross character, and I feel like, especially because this takes place in the 50s, that is peak, Americana, women should be women kind of sayings and societal expectations just like up the wazoo about women being uber feminine, and she's definitely not that. I feel like they're really going to hold back in terms of that in the adaptation. I feel like Thomasin McKenzie is playing Eileen. She's too pretty to play Eileen. She's also, like, probably, she's really skinny, but she's probably not skinny enough to play Eileen the way that Eileen describes herself as a skeleton, which I don't think should actually be a thing. If we're learning one thing from adapting Ottessa Moshfegh novels, we are not permitting, we are not advocating eating disorders with the way that the main characters are being depicted. Okay? Unnamed narrator in My Year of Rest and Relaxation. Eileen. What's the best friend's name in My Year of Rest and Relaxation? It's gone from my mind right now. But the friend also. I will talk more about this. Maybe when the trailer comes out, I'll do a trailer reaction, and that'll sort of be an excuse to talk about this more. Or maybe, I don't know what I'm doing yet, but this video is long enough, okay? So I will be talking about these two books more at some point in more depth. I will probably repeat some of the things that I said here. I'll probably talk about A Room with a View and the adaptation of that when I have watched it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you watched all of these, I really appreciate it. And just tell me what you've been up to. I think that's it. What do you think of any of the things that I have talked about? Let me know. Again, the next video will probably be my announcement video of of sharing my reading and watching with you, interacting more, conversating more. So yeah, I know I said it like 5 times already, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.